You wanted the best. You've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. It's Voss here from the ChrisVossShow.com. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. They are ladies sings, and that makes it official. Welcome to the show. We certainly appreciate you guys being here. Thanks for tuning in. As always, we bring you the smartest people, the CEOs, the billionaires, the White House presidential advisors, the Pulitzer Prize-winning authors, the people who write the latest books, the ideas, the stories that bring to life ways to improve the quality of your life as well. As always, we say the owner's manuals is the stories of life. And we've just completed our 3-year audit or 4-year audit of ourselves since we launched the new format of the show in 2020. We have increased the show by 1,405%. That's 1,405%. That's pretty outrageous, guys. So thank you all for tuning in the show. Thanks for all the last 4 years of giving us a great audience and sharing the show with your friends, neighbors, relatives. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss 1 on the TikTokity, and ChrisVossFacebook.com. We have another amazing gentleman on the show. We're going to be talking to him about his works and what he does and how he can lighten you. Rolf Haag is a PhD, is on the show with us today. He's the founder, owner, and CEO of SPX Godfather LLC, and he's going to be talking to us about what goes into his work there at his website. He was educated and raised in Germany. He did his bachelor, master, PhD in Frankfurt, Germany. In 1997, he moved to the USA, and in 2008, became a U.S. citizen, all while working to maintain his German citizenship. He is the president and CEO and board member of 3 large automotive supplier companies over the last 30 years. As a successful executive career, he followed his passion, which is to make money with money. For the past several years, Rolf has worked on a full-time day trader with a passion to educate and mentor traders. His goal is to educate his traders to become successful and have a process and strategy to follow. Welcome to the show. How are you, Dr. Rolf?
Yes, Chris, call me Rolf. So another day in paradise. You know what was interesting when you had your entree into your show? There was like a big boom. And my camera fell off my screen. So I said, oh, my God, that is a very good start.
There you go. That's how we do it. Lots of energy on the show. We love energy. So give us a 30,000 or give us the .com first for your website so we can get that down. People can look at it.
So it's pretty simple. I mean, it's spxgodfather.com. It's one word, spxgodfather.com. That's my website. TikTok, it's SPX Godfather. YouTube, SPX Godfather. What else do we have? Instagram, SPX Godfather. Facebook, SPX Godfather. On LinkedIn is my real name, Rolf Haag, ROLFHAAG. And I think I got everything covered so far.
There you go. Lots of places on the internet. So give us a 30,000 overview of how you do it there at SPX Godfather and what you do.
Yeah. So the journey began actually 61 years ago in a little village in Germany. You know, you already read my bio. So I grew up, I did an apprentice as a tool maker. Then I went to school, did my education. And in 97, I came to the US. So I always worked in the automotive supplier industry. And then over the 30 years now here in the US, I worked my way from, director to a vice president to president to CEO and board member. So I did this not in one company, I did this in 3 companies. And I was pretty successful in the automotive supplier industry. And then in 2018, I had a little bit of an event. I got sick and I got a form of cancer. So I quit my job. I went with my wife. We went through cancer treatment. And then I knock on wood. I mean, I'm strong like bull. If you go through something like this, that makes you really strong. That makes you really, really strong. So I decided at that time, that was 2018, you know what, I don't want to do what I did all my life. And don't get me wrong, I like to be the CEO. I like to be the big guy in the room. It was a pleasure. and I really enjoyed it. But then I said, I want to do the next 20 years something that I really enjoy. And I always enjoyed investing in trading, buying a little bit of that, buying a little bit of that. And then I started that doing just on my own in 2018. And I became so good at it that people say, why don't you start your service? I would pay money just to follow you, the way you explain things. You make it very simple. And, I started this a couple of years ago, and I started the SPX Godfather LLC. And what we do is, if you look at any professional sports athlete, and if you want to be good in trading, you have to have the mentality of a professional sports athlete. When Michael Jordan is missing the first 10 shots, do you think he sits down with his coach and he's whining and dining? No, he gets up and he still makes 30 points.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much the same with trading. Not every day is great. You have some bad days. You cannot get your emotions overwhelmed. So it's very important that you have that mentality. Okay, you lost the trade. You go outside, you drink a glass of water, you come back, and then you do it all over again.
Yeah.
And this is a big part of my classes and still, even if you have a good mentor on your side, 9 out of 10 people fail. And I tell this every student, if you don't have the mentality of a professional sports athlete, you will fail. Put your money somewhere else, but don't do day trading. So I teach this every morning. We meet live. And when I say live, I really mean live, like you and I. I use Zoom technology, but I really like that StreamYard. I have to get into it. It looks very clear. I really like that. So you meet every morning in the live trading room. I have a colleague. He's in Madrid in Spain. He comes in. He tells us what happened overnight in Asia and in Europe. I come over at 9:20, and I always publish 2 newsletters. We talk about certain resistance. We talk about certain support levels, and then we just start trading. I basically take everybody by the hand, and I tell everybody before I enter a trade why I do it. The why is more important than the what. Why I'm doing this? Because eventually I want my students not to rely on me. They should be able to trade by themselves. And we do this 5 to 7 times. I have a lot of students, they come in, they trade with me for the first 30 minutes, maybe 2 hours. They make a couple of thousand every morning, and they leave, and they come back the next morning.
There you go.
So it's pretty simple.
There you go. And you broadcast these live on TikTok?
No, so when you sign up and you become a member, you get your credentials, you go into my website, you click on Join Now, and then it's open for the subscribers. And normally what I do, like in your show, if anybody sees the show and would like to check it out, because you should not believe me what I say. You should see it. And not only my service, every service that you look at, you should always make sure you see what these people are really doing. And I give everybody a free day pass. If you want a second one or a third one, that's perfectly fine with me. But a day pass is very important so people can really check it out. Am I doing what I'm saying? And I'm saying what I'm doing.
There you go. And so you take your students, you put them through a live video trading journey.
Yes.
I can see a picture of it here on the website of your spxgodfather.com. And so I can see the chat bot or the meeting chat where people are talking about stuff, and you're showing all the different various trading things that you're looking at, different companies or whatever stock you're doing. And so people can see in live time how you analyze stocks, how you execute 3 to 5 trades within 2 hours of the market open. And so people can trade alongside you. They can see how you do and all that sort of good stuff.
Yes. And this is very rare in that industry because everybody does everything. They do Apple, they do Tesla, they do Amazon, but I decided I want to be the best I can be in just one thing. If you look at Michael Jordan, Lionel Messi, Roger Federer, Kobe Bryant, they are just good in one thing. And that's what I decided. If you do a lot of things, it's always great when everything goes up. Right? But when it goes down, oh my God, what do you sell? What do you buy? What do you keep? It gets very stressful. And I like to keep the stress out of my life. So that's what I said. I want to do one thing. I want to be really good at it.
Mm-hmm.
And, I still have a very professional sports athlete mentality, but I was the CEO for 30 years as well. So as a CEO, there's three things you like to do. You like to build a company, which I'm doing. You like to work with people. That's the most important thing, because the better your people are, the better you are.
Mm-hmm.
And the third thing is, we like to make money. So if you combine all of that, and if you have a special sports athlete mentality, you can be really good in trading, really
Mm-hmm.
good.
And people can see your reviews from some of your students on the website. You've got a whole giant page of reviews.
Yes, I have like 150, 200 subscribers. We meet in the morning, and then you see all the faces. I mean, I know everybody by name. My service is very personalized. Everybody has my private cell phone. We can text during the day. I give it out because most services are great till you sign up, and you never see of them.
They forget about it.
They forget about you. So I said, this is if you want to cancel, and you know what? Sometimes it just doesn't work out because I'm very specialized, and you need to focus when I do something. You cannot just go in a trade and get a cup of coffee and come back, because the S&P 500 moves so fast. The best trades are between 2 and 7 minutes. And I have three leading indicators: the futures, the US dollar, and the premiums. And when all three of them point into a certain direction, I say, okay, guys, this is an A+ setup for a put or a call. But I'm only interested in what happens the next 2 to 7 minutes. When I buy a put, which means I anticipate the market goes down based on my indicators, it doesn't mean the market goes down by the end of the day. I only worry about the next 2 to 7 minutes. Yeah. And I tell my students always in advance what I'm doing, so they have enough time to set it up. They see my screen. We go in, we make money, and we go out. And then we wait for the next setup. We go in, we make money, we go out.
There you go. It's great to have that sort of guidance, because I've seen different stock programs, and they're like, here's the formula, just go do it. But having that visual, being able to work with somebody, it looks like there's several different tier programs you have. You have the concierge Twitter service, you have the concierge mentoring, and the concierge basic.
Yes. So I see myself as a specialty NBA coach. I take an NBA player that is already at a certain level, and I make him better in one area only. And the area is trading the S&P 500. So I expect already you have a certain knowledge of trading if you want to join the Concierge Mentoring Live program. If you say, well, I really don't know, I want to learn, and then I offer the Concierge Basic, which is a 3-hour course. We break it up an hour. After every hour of training, I give you a free day pass. So you can go in the room, you can check it out. And so it's a very one-on-one service. And you don't have to embarrass if you ask me some stupid question, because in my Concierge live trading, this is all semi-professional or professional traders. These guys do this for a living. So it's not a amateur room. It's a very high, sophisticated, professional, semi-professional trading. But again, I have no problem. I like to work with people. And I have like 10 people right now in my program for the Concierge Basic, and we just schedule hour, and I explain the basic of day trading, and then you get a free day pass, and then you check it out. And then the Twitter is for people that really cannot sit in front of a laptop, so they get Twitter service. But I also give them like two free day passes a month, so whenever they have time, and it doesn't cost anything extra, you can have the free day pass. It's basically the Zoom link, and you can go into the room in the morning, and you can see, is this something that you really desire to do? Because to trade the S&P 500 can be very, very, very rewarding, but it can also be very frustrating, because you can lose a lot of money and you don't even know you lost it. So the right setup, the right guidance, the right leadership it's very, very important.
Is that mostly what you buy, is the S&P 500?
That's the only thing I do. Yes.
And that's the index Yeah, that's the indices, right?
That's the index. Yes,
Yeah.
correct. So you have the NASDAQ, you have the Dow Jones, and then you have the S&P 500. And there is the top 504 companies actually in this bucket. I mean, it's all the big boys. It's Meta, it's Tesla, it's Amazon, it's Apple, it's Netflix, it's Nvidia, it's Eli Lilly. So these 504 companies, and they push the market up or down, and then they push it up and then down. And then we always look for a plus setup, because you buy to open and you sell to close. And you cannot be greedy, because the basic concept is very simple. You want to buy low and you want to sell high, but you don't want to buy low and sell high. This is where you get in trouble, when the greed comes over and said, okay, no, you have a certain profit in mind, go in, make your money and get out.
There you go. Yeah, that would always get me when I used to day trade back in the .com eras. You go in and it was a crazy time. You could literally just buy whatever the new tech company was launching in the morning, and like within hours it was just crazy insane. And it was just wild of the stuff you can do. So day trading can be fun. I know a lot of people that do it professionally. They make good money doing it professionally and all that good stuff. And so people can build into your different tiers. They can subscribe to the service. And then I noticed there's somebody else on your website, Francisco Martinez. Is he part of the XPX Godfather family?
Yes. So Francesco, he lives in Madrid in Spain. So we have a little bit of a history together. When I was the president and CEO of a big automotive company, supplier company for the US, he was the CEO for Latin America South America and Spain. So we know each other, and we found out we have a similar hobby at that time. So Francesco comes in the morning. He's very well educated. He's not the trader. I'm the trader, but he has the big picture view. What happened in Asia? What happened in Europe? Who's speaking? Is Powell speaking, or is any member of the Fed speaking today? Because all of these guys have a big impact if the stock market goes up, or if the stock market goes down. So he helps us to get mentally into what are the highlights of the day, and what can we expect.
There you go. And those always have effect. They bleed over from the countries as the stock markets open and close around the world. Do you think the stock, there's a lot of interesting things going on with the China stock market. They've lost $6 trillion almost overnight.
Yeah.
And they're trying to buttress up the system, but I don't think it's working. They think they can somehow inject some money into it. And, I mean, unless you got $6 trillion laying around, and I don't think their Federal Reserve kind of works like ours, where it can inject or it can hold the debt. What do you think of basically the U.S. market right now is doing incredibly well. What do you think of the future for the S&P 500 and the American stock market compared to what's going on in China? Or let's answer that question first.
Yeah. So the stock market right now is just incredible. It reminds me a little bit of 2019, 2020, when we came out of COVID. We had the V-shaped recovery, and the stock market went all the way up to, especially the S&P 500, to 4,800 something, close to 4,900. I mean, right now, we are very close to 5,000, which is a record high ever. And a lot of people think, when the stock market goes up, that's a sign the economy is good or bad. But it's really not. The stock market depends on the decisions of the Federal Reserve. And, in the last 2 years, we increased the rates, right? The credit rates. And that has a big impact onto the stock market, because everybody wants to buy low and sell high. And sometimes what's good for the economy is actually bad for the stock market, and vice versa. What's bad for the economy is actually good for the stock market. I mean, right now, everybody's waiting till the Feds come out and say, okay, we know they are pausing right now, so they are not increasing the rates. That's good. But the next thing is, eventually, they have to reduce it and come back to a normal level. So, and then this is what everybody's waiting for. And when it comes back, then we have another push back up. So, but right now the stock market is doing well. China is always it's always like a little bit of a question mark. But when the Japanese market or the Chinese market is not doing well, the rich Chinese and Japanese investors, they come to the US. They put the money into the US equities.
Mm-hmm.
So that's actually good for us as the USA.
That's what I was thinking. That, any money that was in the Chinese stock market that was left over after getting wiped out would funnel into our markets and probably be a safe haven for international investors or investors that might have been in the Chinese market to move to our things to a safe haven. I saw a chart recently that said, our stock market's doing actually really well. Our economy's doing really well, considering. And so there you go. You've got some good things going on there. And the Chinese had always they've been faking their GDP for, I don't know, the past 10, 20, 15 years when real estate, and everyone was like, that's eventually going to catch up to you. There's only so long you can stall that out when you're overbuilding for people who can't afford to build there or to live in half the properties now. And so some interesting things that are going on there. And I don't think that mess is going to get cleaned up anytime soon. They may be entering a major recession in China, and they may be in a world of pain. So it'll be kind of interesting to see how that, people come to America as a safe haven. What are some other techniques that you feel that you need to have as a day trader? I mean, do you work with a lot of new people who are new to stock brokering, or do they need to have some day trading experience?
Yeah. I mean, again, I see myself as a specialty NBA coach in one particular area. So I take a good day trader and make him better in the S&P 500. And I tell you, honestly, everybody wants to trade the S&P 500 because it's the big elephant in the room. Mm-hmm. It's really the big elephant in the room. It's the most rewarding one. It's the most flexible one. This is where the money is. But you got to have the right setup. You cannot just go in and throw spaghetti against the wall and hope something sticks. You really have to have a system in place. And again, there is a lot of indicators, and a lot of people use just wrong indicators. They use lagging indicators. They tell you what happened in the rear view, right in the back. But you need to use indicators that look forward. And if you want to trade the S&P 500, there is only 3 indicators that look forward. It's the futures. The futures guide the S&P up and down. Mm-hmm. It's the US dollar. If you know how to read the US dollar goes up or down, it acts opposite of the equities and the premiums. The premiums is what you pay for a certain strike. And when you learn how to read these 3 leading indicators point in the same direction at the same time, then you say, okay, this is an A+ setup for a put, which means you anticipate based on the leading indicators, the market goes down. Mm-hmm. Or I tell my students, guys, this is an A+ setup for a call, which means I anticipate based on the 3 leading indicators that the market goes up. Mm-hmm. Again, I'm only worried about the next 2 to 7 minutes. That's all I'm looking at. But if that is enough to make $1,000, I mean, that's not a bad gig. Yeah. You take $5,000, you take 6 out, so you make 20% between 2 and 7 minutes. Mm-hmm. That's $1,000. Then you wait for the next setup. Sometimes you wait longer than you actually trade because the trade is 2 to 7 minutes. Yeah. But you because my responsibility is always, number 1 is not to lead my students into a bad trade. That's number 1. And number 2 is to lead them into a good trade.
There you go.
That's my responsibility, because to save or to protect your money is always number 1. Because if you want to gamble, then you got to go into a casino. We are trying to make sense out of it. Yeah. I cannot look in the future like nobody can, but I can tell you based on my 3 indicators what's most likely 80-90% of the time to happen in the next 2 to 7 minutes. And you know what? 20% I'm wrong. Yeah.
Wow.
But 80% I'm right.
There you go. Well, it'll be interesting to see how it goes on. But yeah, if you make educated trades, if you're wise about the decisions you're making and the things you go into and all that good stuff. What have we covered in some of the stuff that you do for people, and anything else I haven't talked about?
Yeah. So what is also included is I spend a lot of one-on-one time with my students.
Mm-hmm.
So because I want them to be successful, I want them to make money and be successful. So I also offer in my program not only the day-to-day trading. So every evening between 4 and 6, so the market shuts down at 4, between 4:15 and 6 o'clock, I have 3 training classes every night. I'm every evening I'm booked out. So I want to go with my wife to dinner. We have to do this later in the evening, because I always help my teammates to set up the indicators, to understand the indicators. And all of this is basically free. It's included in the monthly subscription fee, which is very little. I always say, you work for me 1 day of the week, and 19 days you work for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And then the government, of course, takes 9 days out of that as well.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really important that I have a very interactive relationship with all my students, and I help them to be successful. I have very, very successful traders. I mean, really very, very great guys. And I have some that just fail because they just don't understand. Their emotions take over. You need to have a certain composure. And if you not make the first 10 shots, Michael Jordan takes the ball and he makes another 30 points, and he still makes 30 points despite the fact he lost at the beginning. So, but you have to keep a positive attitude, and you have to have the right setup. You have to have the right leadership, and it's fun. It's really, really fun when you understand the fundamentals and how this stuff works.
Definitely. It can be quite a thing, but yeah, you got to keep your emotions out of it. And I think that's the biggest challenge, is
That's the biggest one,
being able to make logical decisions. So give people a final pitch out as we go out on how they can onboard with you, reach out to you, find out more, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. So if you like what you hear, and again, I'm very open. Most services don't even tell you their indicators, right? I told you right there. Mm-hmm. It's the premiums, it's the futures, it's the US dollar. This is all you need to be successful trading the S&P 500. But the trick is, the artistry is how to read them. That is where my help comes in. Everybody can put these indicators there. It's very simple, but how to read them, how to interpret them. So if you like what you see, the first thing is, don't trust me, look at it. Mm-hmm. Contact me, sbxgodfather.com. Go to the form or this podcast, for example, a free day pass. Ask me for a free day pass. The only thing I need from you is just your email address. You will not get any spams. I just need the email address to send you the Zoom link. I like to know your name. First name is fine. And I need to know what day you would like to attend. Sometimes people say, hey, I would like to have a day pass. Okay, when? For me, it doesn't matter.
Sure.
I give it out every day. But important is that you test me. Don't just believe me what I'm saying. You have to see the magic live, and then you will say, wow, that is really incredible. But do this not with me. Do this with everybody else you are engaged or maybe engaged with. I do a lot on TikTok as well, but my website, the Zoom, is the main trading platform that we use every day. And again, I help you setting up the indicators, and you can make a nice Godfather profit in the first 30 to 90 minutes every day. And then you just move on with your life.
There you go. Do the rest of your life and make your money in the morning. That's what I used to do.
Yes.
Make my money in the first hour or so, and then go to work, and you're like, geez, I made more today than I made in a month. Thank you very much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it, Rolf. Give us your .com one more time as we go out.
So sbx.father.com, sbxgodfather.com. That's a pretty easy name to remember. SPX is what I trade, and Godfather is I was walking my dog, and I said I would like to get a good name for the company, and somehow Godfather came in my mind, and then I just added the SPX because the SPX is the ticker for the S&P 500. So sbxgodfather.com. Ask me for a free day pass. don't just trust me. See it how it works every day, and you will have fun, and we make money. It's nice to make money as a team. I've always been a basketball player, like a team sport guy. I like to win in a team, and you know what? Sometimes you lose as a team.
It's true.
It's just the way it goes.
There you go. Well, thank you very much for coming on, Rolf. We really appreciate it.
Chris Voss, thank you very much. And I subscribe to all your channels. I looked up a couple of other podcasts, and I really enjoyed. And thanks for having me. It was a great experience.
Certainly appreciate it. Thanks so much for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss 1 on the TikTokity, and all those crazy places we're on the internet. Thanks for tuning in. Be good to each other. Stay safe. And we'll see you guys next time. And that should have us out, man.